what you put in, what you're going to get back. I'll give you another example, right? Now that we're on this discussion. Ayatollah Syed Jamaluddin Gulpaygani says, he says, right, so if you've been to Isfahan, there's a graveyard known as Tahta Fulat, where many of the awliya are buried. You'll find waliullahs everywhere over there, awliya Allah buried there, the saints. And he would take a room, right? So he took a room. And he took a room for himself and used to worship there. He says, one day I saw that this group of people came, there was a body. And they asked me, they said, look, Syed, can you come and can you recite the prayers? He said, I recited the prayers, I put the body in the ground. He said, when I started reciting the talqeen, I could see that this boy was having difficulty replying. He couldn't reply. So I looked around and I saw mothers crying. Mother was crying. He says, I can't speak to the mother. The father was sitting there quietly. He goes up to him and he says, listen, your son is not reciting back. What have you done? What has he done? He goes, no, my son was a great person, but there was one issue. He became a scholar. He used to sit on the minbar and used to ask people, or used to answer people's questions. One day I raised a question and he would say to me, look, sit down, you're jahil, don't ask this question. He goes, because of that it broke my heart. He says, now your son is adab, this is not the time to hold this, let it go. He lifted his hands, the father. He lifted his hands and said, Allah, I'm satisfied with my son. It was a small mistake he made. Generally he was a very good boy. Please forgive him. They said Jamaluddin Gulpaygani went to the body again. Now when he recited, he saw the son was smiling, replying. The angels of Rahmah were coming. That is how simple it is to destroy your akhirah. That's how simple it is. I'm not talking just to you, I'm talking to myself. Because obviously, none of us are born through immaculate conception. We all have parents. We all have a responsibility to them. And why do you think that the Quran says that don't even say uff to your parents when they're old? Why uff? Because Quran knows that when your parents get old, they become, like it says, they go backwards. They're going to irritate you. So when you're irritated, what comes out? Uff. So don't even show irritation to your parents. Because if you show Quran is saying they will be like that. They are going to go in reverse. They are going to sometimes wind you up. Sometimes they may be demanding. Sometimes they may ask you questions which you may feel that's a stupid question. But if you disrespect them, then you're finished. So be very vigilant of the relationship that you have. And always remember that tomorrow you're going to be there as well. And today you think you're strong and you're big and you've got strength and you've got money and all that. You think that your father was born old with his back bent and a white beard? Okay, fine, some of us color our hair. But the fact of the matter is this. A time is going to come where your back is going to be bent and you're going to start getting hair loss. And you're going to put on a bit of a belly because your metabolism weakens. And then as you go on, you won't be able to walk properly. And at that moment, you're going to want your son to hold you by your arm and take you. Don't you remember that story of the Prophet? What story of the Prophet? That story of the Prophet, when that father was kicked out by his son went to the Prophet of God and complained about his father. And when he complained about his father, the Prophet of God says, bring your father. At that moment, Wahi comes, Jibreel comes down. Jibreel says something. Jibreel says, that father, when he was told by his son that you're calling him, there was an ah. The father's ah had a lot of words. The father was saying something to himself. He was saying that, son, when you were born, I would clean your rubbish. I would wake up at night time. I would go to work just for you. I would feed you and I would stay hungry. And as you started to grow strong, I became weaker. And as your back strengthened, my back bent. I was looking for a time to come where you would grab me by the arm and take me. But that time hasn't come. If you don't look at me as a father, at least look at me as a good neighbor of yours. He was heartbroken. They say when this man comes to Rasulullah with his father, Rasulullah told him to go away. He says, how can you? Why? Because Rasulullah is rahmatul alameen, this father is old. So look, be very vigilant when it comes to your fathers. Be very careful when it comes to your mothers, right? So anyhow, to come back to what I was saying,